Welcome back to the show with us, Sheryl Sutherland, David Round and Joe Kane. Well, across the Tasman, Julia Gillard has guillotined Kevin Rudd's political fortunes, dismembering his prime ministership and claiming the job for herself. So much for a loyal deputy. What do we make of fire engine redhead Amazon Julia Gillard and the hasty dispatch of Mr Rudd? Sheryl?
Well, I think she's pulled a very tidy little coup, and I do like her hair, by the way. I'm hoping she's going to turn into another Maggie Thatcher that at least will be entertaining to watch. One of the things about Rudd that I didn't like or wasn't really concerned about was he was always came across as pretty boring and conservative. But the interesting thing is whatever went on behind the scenes is his background is in diplomacy.
Yes.
Why didn't he have his party all lined up in a very diplomatic fashion so he wasn't topped in such a short space of time? It's really intriguing.
Is this all a bit undignified, what's happened?
Well, yes. I mean, Kevin Rudd may have been boring. Look, what do we know about Australia? But I think, I dislike the way in which some people, not yourself, Sheryl, dismiss politicians for being boring. I think politicians, like accountants, should be boring. What we want is a safe pair of hands. We don't want high drama on television. We want the country to be in a safe pair of hands. But I can't really comment intelligently on this because until about midnight last night, I had never even heard of this woman. And the only remark I can make is that I saw her photo on the front page of the press this morning, and I think she's got mean, nasty lips. That's all, and I don't like the look of her. That's
well, in that case, I'll make a great Prime Minister then, won't I?
Oh,
yes, exactly.
What do you make of it?
Oh, I got mean, nasty lips. My mother always said I got a mean top lip, and sometimes when I'm really angry, it disappears. And I'll try and be boring. I go, you know, I'm always really pleased to see a woman rise. And I love that in Australia, you know, that real chauvinistic Australia, they've got a woman in their top job. It's fantastic, they deserve it. But I was like you, I actually didn't know anything about her. I went to try and Google search really quickly. And
Google didn't know about her?
No, and it was cruel, eh? It's really cruel. When a woman can make a man blub, hey, I'm really happy. I'm really happy, and well done. I mean, I didn't even realise there was an election coming up in another month or two. So, yeah, I think she's got balls.
Well, that sort of calls a spade a shovel.
Neil.
Did you really say that? You did?
Yes, I did.
Very nice, there you go. Speaking of not so boring politicians, Joe Kane is going to run for the mayoralty. And as I said earlier this week, don't worry, Bob Parker, not in your town. Waimakariri, look out, here comes Hurricane Joe. Should the incumbent, Mr Keating, be a very worried man?
Yes and no. Yeah, well, yes. I mean, he's got a race now. He's got two candidates standing against him. He's got one of his deputies standing against him in Waimakariri and myself. And so I have two men and myself running on issues which I see. And to give you where I'm coming from, Waimak can have same, or they can make some change, or they can have some difference. It's been very mediocre in this last 3 terms. That community has no understanding on the water issues. I think they think Central Plains was on the other side of the river, so it didn't affect them. And I think they're in for a bit of a shake-up what is going to happen in local government in the next 3 years. The legacy that all of the mayors left to Canterbury.
Just very quickly, I'm keen to find out from you, where do you see the Waimakariri district fitting into the wider picture in the next 3, 6, 9 years? Is it actually going to still be around?
No, I don't. I think that's going to be the big ask in the next 3 years. Waimakariri and so on. I think the UDS, the Greater Christchurch study, showed that how Waimakariri and so on could work together with the city, where the jobs are, where the transport links are. I believe you'll never see Environment Canterbury again. That's my belief, in my opinion. And I believe at the end of 3 years there'll be these amalgamations. And the natural one is for Selwyn and Waimak to come into the city and have but there'll only be one model in New Zealand, and the model will be a la Auckland.
So this could be a case of Joe Kane doing a bit of a BP Bob. First stop Banks Peninsula, next stop Christchurch. Would you vote for Joe Kane as mayor?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know why you're mucking around with Wymack. Why don't you just go straight for the jugulars and stand in Christchurch, for goodness sake? Are we going to talk about the radio debate now, or are we saving that for
You're
later?
welcome to rip into that as well. Yes, what did you make of it?
Well, I have to say, I didn't think either of them, the gentlemen concerned, covered themselves in glory. We've got an old stallion, I think, whose political life has been far too long, because all he came up with was he wanted an independent review, more money spent, more money down the drain. How long is that going to take? I want to see some results, like quite soon, frankly. And Bob pictured and painted himself as the underdog. Well, of course he's the underdog. He said if he didn't get elected initially, he was going to clear off to Italy. Well, I mean, what sort of dedication does this man have to our city? So, Joe, stand for Christchurch.
It was quite patronising in that way that he is a politician. You know, like he's been the mayor, and prior to that, in Banks Manager, and he's saying, you know, I've lost tune with the community. He should know damn well better than that, than try and run a platform saying, I'm going to start listening to the people now. Oh, hello.
Well, it's interesting that Jim Anderton, I think, is going to zone in on this. One of Bob Parker's key pledges on his pledge card at the last election was, quote, to build confidence in council decision making. So if Bob Parker is now conceding that the council's failed to engage on key issues, isn't he actually conceding he has failed, full stop?
Exactly.
But I think Christchurch needs to be very careful. There is an anti-Bob vote, there's no two ways about it. But aren't we all like, we all know the Flower Show, we all know about Henderson, we all know about we've got to move on. What is the vision?
So you want vision from Jim? You want to see a picture?
I want to see what it is, what life, what energy they're going to bring to the city that's been, for 3 years, has just gone lurched from one crisis to the next.
OK, David, wrap it up for us, your mayoral musings.
All I can say is that the tide seems to be running strongly in favour of Jim at this time by my own informal anecdotal polling. I must say, in the most surprising places. It's been 2 to 1. I asked someone on the margins of local bodies some time ago who was going to win, this was months ago, and he said, oh, look, Bob has got it because he's kept the rates down. But I don't know if that's going to be enough, and especially as we think, well, if the rates have been kept down, at what cost? What is the city's future debt? I think Bob has alienated a lot of people, his natural supporters even. He's very slick, very professional, but not quite human.
And that whole rate thing, I find it's a sop. No one is asking the question about, yes, you look at the rates, what is subsidising those rates? What is the real rate increase? I cannot believe that Christchurch is not waking up to the CCOs, which are council-controlled organisations, that underpin what the real rates are.
Okay.
It's really intriguing.
And, of course, the debt that is being notched up for future generations as well.
Well, they shouldn't have to do it with the equity that they've already got in those council-controlled organisations. What the hell are they doing?
All right. We'll take a break. Plenty more to come with our very animated panel. Do stay with us.